Hi everybody, today I'm going to explain to you why your child or learner might be engaging in problem behavior or having a meltdown or some sort of tantrum when they are told no to something or access is denied to something or something's not available. I'm also going to provide you with some antecedent strategies that you can utilize before problem behavior has already occurred, mitigate the chances of it even happening. And then I'm also going to provide you with some strategies that you can utilize on the consequence end after problem behavior has already occurred. What can we do if your child does have a meltdown if they're told no or denied access to something? However, before we discuss strategies that we can utilize when your child does engage in problem behavior when they're told no, we first need to understand a few things about human behavior that will make all of this make a little bit more sense. So as humans, we engage in behaviors all day long. Everything that we do is a behavior. Talking is a behavior, walking is a behavior, eating is a behavior, scratching my head is a behavior. Anything that you can see or do is a behavior. And we engage in behavior all day long, and we continue to engage in certain behaviors because we have learned that these are the behaviors that work for us. These are the behaviors that produce us the things we need. These are the behaviors that give us access to things. These are the behaviors that get my needs met. And so therefore, one could say we are reinforced for those behaviors. We continue to do them because they work for us. Okay, so now that was explained, we're going to switch over to our children to try to understand, why is my child having a meltdown or tantrum when they're told no for something or access is denied to something? So just like adults and just like how we engage in certain behaviors that work for us because we have learned that they work for us, your child engages in a certain behavior because they have learned that that works for them. If you have a child that's watching TV and you tell them that it's time to shut the TV off and they scream, "No, I'm not shutting the TV off," and then you say, "Okay, you can keep watching TV or you can have 5 more minutes." That child has learned in that situation, when I want to keep watching TV, I should yell because my mom lets me keep watching TV. That behavior was learned. And that's nobody's fault. And as a parent, I totally understand where you're coming from and I don't blame you. If I didn't understand the principles of human behavior and if I didn't have this background, I would 100% be doing the same thing, because to me, I would say, "Oh, it worked. It stopped their behavior. When I told them they could watch a few more minutes of TV, it stopped. That was easy. I'm just going to keep doing that again in the future because I can't deal with this right now. I have things to do. I can't deal with a meltdown. I'm just going to let them watch 5 more minutes because it shuts it off. It stops the behavior and it feels like it's working for us." However, if problem behavior continues to happen over and over again, and it seems like your child is having a meltdown or a tantrum every time they're told no, what likely is happening is that they are being reinforced for engaging in problem behavior. And they have learned when they hit, when they cry, when they yell, they can keep doing the thing that they want to do. They're given the thing that they were told no for, or something else is produced. If they're told no for something, then mom whips something else out that's great. And so it keeps happening and it continues to happen. Another thing that might happen when your child engages in problem behavior because they're told no for something is that maybe access was denied for something. Maybe they just finished dinner and they're only allowed to have 1 cookie typically, and they just asked for another cookie and you said, "No, you can't have another cookie. You're only allowed to have 1 cookie." And maybe your child says, "Oh, Mom, come on, I really want another cookie." And you say, "No, you can't have another cookie. Sorry." And they keep pushing you. They keep pushing you a little more, and they're whining. And then it starts to escalate. Then they start to really amp it up because they see whining's not working. I'm going to do something else. So now maybe they sit on the floor and they refuse to do absolutely nothing until they have a cookie. Or maybe they're laying on the floor and they're yelling. Or maybe they're going at you and they're trying to hit you. Or whatever it is, they're really amping it up now because you're not giving them a second cookie. And if it's not a cookie, try to think of something else at home that your child has a hard time hearing no to. However, eventually it gets to the point where your child is engaging in problem behavior that you literally can't handle anymore. Your head is about to explode, or you just need them to stop and be quiet. And what might have started as a little bit low level that you didn't mind and didn't really bother you has now escalated to a point where you have to acknowledge it because you need it to stop. It has to stop. And that is actually the worst time that you can reinforce problem behavior, because now your child has learned, when I want a second cookie or I want something, I don't have to push mom a little bit. If I get to that level of really amping it up, mom gives in. And so next time, I'm just going to skip all of that stuff. I'm not going to just push a little. I'm just going to jump straight to that extreme problem behavior because that's the behavior that produced me the thing that I wanted. So now I'm going to go over a couple of antecedent strategies that you can utilize before problem behavior happens, when you have to tell your child no to something or access is denied to something. One of the first things you can do if your child asks you for something and they can't have it in the moment is offer something else instead. And while you might think, oh, but that's not real life, my child can always be offered something else instead. The alternative is them continuing to engage in problem behavior and having meltdowns and tantrums for being told no, because you ultimately end up reinforcing them anyway. And so this is a proactive strategy that's going to mitigate the chances of problem behavior happening. And it's not permanent. It can be faded out, but this is something that's going to help our children learn. When I'm told no for something, it's not that bad because it's paired with something good. I'm also going to dispel another thought you might be having, and that is, well, isn't that a bribe? No, it's not a bribe because you're doing this before problem behavior has happened. It's sort of like a promised reinforcer. Consider it that. It would be considered a bribe if you told your child no for something, they engaged in problem behavior, and then you offered them something else, or then you offered them the thing that you said no to, and then you whipped something else out or promised them something. That's a bribe. It's not a bribe when you're offering it to them before problem behavior has happened. It's actually called an antecedent manipulation. So let's break down what that would look like. Let's say your child has just finished dinner. They just had their one cookie that they're allowed to have, and now they want a second cookie and they ask you for it. What you're not going to do is just say, no, you can't have a second cookie. What you're going to do instead is say, you can't have a second cookie, but you can have pretzels instead. And what's happening is that being denied access to something and being told no to something is actually being paired with something good. So they're going to start to associate, well, when I'm told no for something, it's not that bad because I'm offered something else instead. Like I said before, this isn't something that you're going to have to do all the time. In the beginning, you're going to have to do it quite frequently, but this is something that can 100% be faded out. But right now, we need to come in heavy, offering alternatives before problem behavior is happening, just so our learners can learn. It's not that bad when I'm told no. And here's another really important aspect to this. If your child is told no for something and you offer them something else instead, and they still engage in problem behavior, then the alternative item that you offered them goes away. It's no longer offered. You're not going to remind them about it. You're not then going to start whipping out other alternatives because, again, in those moments when your child or learner engages in problem behavior for being told no to something or having access denied to something, they would be learning that my mom said no to me. She offered me something else. I'm not okay with that. And so she's going to offer me more things. That's, again, a behavior that becomes learned. So we're going to try to be aware in those moments when we do have to tell our learner or child no or deny access to something and plan ahead in offering them an alternative item. And if possible, that alternative item should be pretty strong or equally as powerful as the item that you're telling them no to. You're not going to have your child ask you for a second cookie and then say, no, you can't have a second cookie, but you can have Brussels sprouts.